Yeah, I mean, you saw the title. That pretty much sums it up. Let's get started. Basically, my idea is Connect 4, but with letters. I found this awesome asset pack on Itch for like $2.60 somehow. That has all these assets for word games. Let's get started. Let's give it a shot. Alright, it's been about half an hour. I have just this basic main menu. Doesn't really do anything yet, it just you can click the play button. I have my main UI, which is part of the main menu, just has the play button so far. And then I have my game UI, which looks like this, but when you run it, it actually generates a grid of any size you want. It loads in all the different tiles from the asset pack, and it just spaces them out in a grid. So if I change this to like, let's change it to like 4 by 4, and I run it, it'll be a smaller grid. You can modify the spacing, so right now it's on 4 pixels in between each tile. If I change that to 10 on the X and Y axis, they're more spread out. I actually like that better. Let me change it back to 6 by 6 and see how that looks. Yeah, I think I like that. I'm gonna keep working on it now. Alright, it's been about another hour and a half. Made some good progress here. This play button does something now. I gave myself a bunch of letters for testing, but I could collect any amount of letters or any specific letters I want. They'll be put here. I can pick one, drop it in like that, pick another one. I can stack them on top of each other. It works enough for now. It's not doing anything to detect if those are valid words or not. That will be tomorrow's problem. I'm gonna call it a day for now. I lied. I didn't call it a day. I did more work. Oh God, it's been 3 hours. But I did it. You can now detect if the words are correct. And put a T and put an A, and it finds that it's at. Okay, it did that. That part's easy. It has the little line there to tell me I did it right. The hard part comes here. I put the C, and it removes the word at, and it adds the word cat. If it didn't remove the word at, you'd have this part would be darker because there would be another slightly transparent line over the at word and a second transparent line covering the whole thing. But it removes it. And now it's able to identify which words are longer. And I could swap that out with any other criteria. I could say which words are worth more points. Those will take priority because you don't want to have 2 words overlapping each other, right? So that has been my evening. Okay, for real now. Calling it a night. Alright, we're starting off day 2 bright and early at 3:17 p.m. Here are some of the tests. The highlighted ones are the ones I want to get done today, or at least get started on today. I'm going to start off with removing words from the board and awarding some points. And let's get to it. Alright, I've been working about another hour, 40 minutes. I'm really happy with what I came up with. Let me show you. So, I'm gonna form first the word cat. you can see I still have from before. This is going to expand there. If I add this word O, this letter O, and a D like this, you see the D forms the word do here. Now my word list kind of sucks. It accepts a lot of things like DT as a word. I'm going to have to go find another list. But what I'm happy with is that if I accept the word cat, first of all, it animates there, removes it, I get the points. D falls down and forms the word do. It's able to recognize that a new word is formed by this letter falling here, and then I can collect that as well. That is what I've been working on today. I'm going to take a little break for now. Okay, that was a lot of time for something that looks very similar, but was actually very important. I just have some debug stuff going on to place the letters automatically, so I don't have to do it every time. But it did do them one at a time. So it placed T-A-C-O-D. It recognized that by the time it placed D-O, that it should not form the word doc and overwrite cat, because they had the same size right now, they have the same precedence. It allowed cat to exist, and then this sequence that it found, it was able to shorten down to do. It eliminated the C, and it was able to find a word within the sequence D-O, and that word was do. And then this also works better than before. If I eliminate the word cat, D-O falls all the way back down, and I can do that. All right, it is now about 10:30. I've been working for about 2 hours, a little over 2 hours. I'm gonna call it a night. All right, we're getting started on day 3. Let me talk about what I want to get done today. So we have a lot of the core mechanics in it, we just don't really have a game loop. So I want to have the start and the end of a game session, which is really just initiating, giving the player some letters, clearing the board, setting everything up, and then for the ending of it, clearing the board, turning you back to the menu, giving you some information about how you did. I want to enforce a distribution of letters collected, which is really saying when you get a random letter, it's not really going to be random. It's going to be weighted a little bit depending on how common various letters are. Like you're more likely to get an E than a Z. That would be that task. I want to find a new word list. That's going to be the first thing I'm going to work on today, because the word list I have right now has way too many words. I'm doing some pre-processing on it to remove some profane words and words that are too long or too short. But even still, it's like 55,000 words long, and that's just too many. There's too many garbage words in there that I don't want to accept. And I want to use the frequency of letters in the words list to enforce letter point values, meaning each letter doesn't just get 1 point. More, rare letters should give you more points. I also want to highlight a little bit something I haven't shown before, which is this time tracking spreadsheet I've been using. I just put in every time I work on the game, what the date is and how many minutes I worked, what I got done, and it just tallies it all up over here. So I guess I'll try to show this a little bit more as I work. All right, let's get started. Alright, it's been almost 2 hours. I've done 3 separate things. I got each letter to have its own point value. I got a new word list. And I got random letters being populated. So here, I'll show you, I have my same random letters here. I can place any amount of them. And then if I hit plus, it'll fill in the whole thing. It'll populate it to 10. In the final game, I want it to make it so that if you have 5 or fewer letters in your hand and you go to fill them all in, you get to pick one, as opposed to just them all being random. But right now, it just fills them all randomly. I can put 1 in, or let me put this in. So see, I have more than 5 in my hand, so I can just do 1 or 2. So it's kind of a strategic decision whether you want to fill them in immediately. That's where I'm at right now. I'm going to take a little break. Alright, worked about another hour. It's been started about 3 hours after the last recording I made. Minor changes here. I just have a little animation at the very beginning to spawn in the grid. It's spawning some of these tiles here. Nothing really past that. Although I did do some thinking about how... Here, let me pull it up again. My current plan was to have the game end when you fill up this grid and there are no more words you can form. And I realized that would probably make the game really easy, because it would probably be pretty easy to avoid doing that. So I'm trying to think of some new lose conditions, and I'm coming up with some stuff. I'll tell you about it after I work on it. I think I'm going to call it a night for now. It is New Year's Eve. Who knows? Might get some more stuff done. Probably not. Okay. It's been about another 2 hours. It's about 10:40 at night. I made some changes to the game loop. Well, first of all, now I have a game loop, but I made some changes to my plans at all, in general. So you'll notice at first that the letters are different colors, and that was important, especially because the colored blocks are different dimensions than the tiles, so I had to do some adjusting for that. You'll see that get messed up in a minute. The way this game mode works is you get 5 letters of a color, and you must form a word. You must remove a word from the board with at least one letter of that same color before you get the next group of letters. So let's see if I'm able to do this right. If I do that, I should not get the next letters yet until I remove these. And then after green, I have to form a word that uses at least one green tile before I get the next color. So, let's see, does that count? Yeah. So now it counted that, and then by the time, even if I just dump a bunch of letters in, it'll give me the next color because I already did one with green. And this is just going to keep going. I'm not entirely sure how well this is going to work. I did one playtest and I did not get a lot of vowels. I definitely need to do a lot of balancing with the distribution of letters, but that is a tomorrow problem. I'm going to call it a day for now. It's day 4, about 7:30 p.m. Didn't do a ton today, worked for about an hour. Really pretty minor stuff. Let me just show you real quick. I just added this little settings button down at the bottom. Doesn't do anything except bounce. And I just fixed the issue down here with the scaling. So as I place a letter, scaling stays consistent. Most of the other time that I spent was just going through some asset packs I had, finding audio. So I went through and found some music tracks I'm going to use and some other audio effects. I'll put those in tomorrow. That should be quick. Make it easy to get into the flow tomorrow morning. I guess today's kind of the halfway point. Wasn't super productive, but I'm just going to call it here and try to be more productive tomorrow. Alright, it's day 5, and I'm going to plan on today being a UI and audio day. I'm going to try to do some menus, just basic UI stuff that is needed for the game to be done, and I'm just going to add in a bunch of sound effects and music and stuff. I already found all those files yesterday looking through the asset packs. I'm just going to put them in the game now. If I have any extra time, maybe I'll get to doing some save data management, saving your progress in the game and loading it back in, but I'll probably be able to do that tomorrow. We'll see. Let's get to it.
3.5 hours of work. I worked about an hour earlier and didn't record anything. Then I did about another 2.5 hours now. I did a lot of audio work. I can go into settings now, turn on the music. I'll turn off the music for now. I can also turn off sound effects, but I'll leave that on. I can play, and you might have a hint of what's going on next. You can actually resume your game now. You can save and come back, so that's very fitting. SAVE. Okay, so that's that word. I can get that. And let me just put another letter on there for good measure. And then I can completely close out of the game. And this is the updated save file here in text form. And then I can load back in, continue, and the board is exactly as I left it. Even my hand, my score, the entire state of the game is serialized to a file and then read back when it comes time to continue your game. You can even come back here, continue, come back here, start a new game, resets completely. Most of my tasks are done now. I think I mainly need to just do a tutorial and do some balancing, which for the remaining 2 days I think is pretty doable. I'm going to call it a night now. Day 6, so just today and tomorrow. I think it's doable. Let's look at what we got today. I want to work on high scores right now as soon as you finish a game. That's it. Nothing is persistent. So we got high scores, we want some lose UI, kind of in line with this end game session. The lose UI is pretty similar. We want to make the difficulty increase over time, but I'll probably get to that later in the day. I want to do a menu to game transition. Right now, when you click play, it just immediately pops in. I want to have a little bit of a screen wipe or something. I want to get a new game logo, because right now there isn't one. I don't even have the title on here. And then I just got to do some balancing and tutorial stuff. The tutorial I don't think will take too long. I'm just going to put some text on the screen and make it disappear after a turn or two. The balancing is going to be a bit of a task. We got balancing, and then what was it? Make difficulty increase over time are pretty linked. Those are going to be the hard things I want to get done today. And then tomorrow, I guess we could just stick to playtesting and polish. So let's get to it. Alright, it's about 5:45. It's been about 5 hours. I worked for about 3 of those hours. Got a lot done. Let me show you. So first of all, we got this logo here with a new name. New name is not there yet. We have high scores now, which right now is just populated with some test stuff, but it is actually reading it from a file. I can play. Got that screen wipe transition. Have this bit of tutorial text telling me to collect at least one red letter to get more letters. Doesn't look like anything I want to do. Let me see if I restart. There's an easier word. That tutorial text goes away. Then when I get the next bit of letters, it tells me to get the green one. I can go back, I can come back in, resume right where I left off. That's working fine. I don't know if I showed you the credits, and I showed you the settings, and I have the high scores. I also did some behind the scenes work, but it's going good. I think I'm gonna call it for today. Alright, it's day 7. I'm recording this a little out of order. I actually already worked on the game today for a little over an hour, and I think it's looking good. I think it's pretty much done at this point. I just did a bit of a test run. My high score was 388. Let me show you a little bit of the gameplay. Start off. Place a couple letters. Can't get the next set until we put some more letters. Let's see. Gotta put at least one green off the board. Before we can get the next ones, we also gotta do these. Debating taking out the 2-letter words because it makes it a little easy, but I don't think it's too bad. That's where it is at the moment. I'm gonna export it, package it up, put it on itch, and I guess I'll work on editing the video tomorrow. I'm gonna call it a night for now. So it's the day after the last day of the challenge. It is January 5th. Finished the game yesterday. There's just a few things I wanted to talk about, but that I kind of glossed over in the video so far. One is my plans for the game, which is not too set in stone right now. I'm probably going to try to get it on Google Play for Android. Probably not going to put in the extra effort to get it on iOS at the moment, unless the game gets some significant interest, which I don't really anticipate happening. I have some ideas for multiplayer mode, but again, unless people actually care about the game, I'm not going to put that work in. At this point, I already kind of accomplished most of what I wanted to accomplish with this project. Another thing I want to talk about is something I kind of glossed over a bit, which was the balancing for the letters. I was running into an issue where you were not getting a very fair distribution of letters. You were either getting a ton of vowels or a ton of consonants, and it was difficult to find words, and it introduces a lot of chance into the equation when you get 5 letters and you have to likely use at least one of them before you move on, and if there's no words you can form, you're out of luck. So I was talking to my grandma about this, and she suggested that I look at Scrabble and use their distribution for how letters are drawn. How many A's are there in the Scrabble game? How many B's? So I looked it up on Wikipedia, just used that same distribution, along with some other accommodations, like if less than 7.5% of the board is a vowel, it'll give you a vowel on your next draw, something like that. It'll give you up to 2 depending on how few you have. Some other little things like that to make the game a bit easier and a little more fair, and that went a long way in helping games last more than like 2 rounds. So that was helpful. Another thing is the time tracking spreadsheet, which I will put on the screen now. Over the course of the 7 days, looks like 23 hours and 45 minutes of work, including half an hour of planning just to write up some documents the day before the challenge started. I'm not counting that, so if you don't count that, then that would be 23 hours and 15 minutes of work over the 7 days. If I was working full time, it would be 40 hours, so it's not too bad for getting a game out the door. I know I said I was going to show it more in the actual video and did not end up doing that, so I want to talk about that a little bit here. And lastly, go play the game. It's on itch.io. Link will be down in the description. The game is free, and it should work on mobile, on Android and iOS through the web version. You know, older iPhones that don't support WebGL might not be super happy about it, but chances are if you have a modern phone, it'll work fine. It'll be in the web browser, so you won't even have to download anything. Go play it. Hope you enjoy.